Thank you so much, Marley. So far this has been amazing. I'm so honoured to be able to be a part of this with so many incredible, excuse me, incredible females, and just to be part of this whole journey as well. Because I started by doing my first talk last year at this summit, and yeah, it's led to this now. So I'll start my my story with you. Vulnerability is the birthplace of everything that we are hungry for. Now that's a quote by Brené Brown. Brené Brown is an absolute idol of mine. So I'll just say that again so that you really understand. Vulnerability is the birthplace of everything that we are hungry for. So I'll allow you to think about what that means to you, and I'll tell you what I think it means. All our hopes, our dreams, our desires, our goals, they'll come to nothing without vulnerability. Why is that? Because vulnerability is growth. And without vulnerability, we don't grow. We don't grow as people. Now, some people are happy to stay in that little bubble of security where you feel so safe and just comfortable. But what if that's not enough for you? What if you need more from your life? How do you allow yourself to be vulnerable? Vulnerability is not easy. And even as someone who embraces vulnerability, every time I do, it's still hard. The fear, that crippling fear that takes over you when you decide that you're going to come out of your comfort zone. So why would we do it? In order to love with your whole heart, in order to take risks in life and to push yourself out of your comfort zone, in order to travel and see the world and do all these things yourself. I've done it. Lots of people do it now. In order to do all of these amazing things, in order to say, wait a minute, this is not where I want to be anymore. I deserve so much more than this. We have to be vulnerable. That is, for me, is where vulnerability comes from. Vulnerability is not comfortable, but vulnerability is so necessary if you want anything in your life. So I'll tell you my story of how I became vulnerable and how I allowed vulnerability into my life. I've had a chronic, debilitating illness for 15 years now. And during that time, I got to the stage where I was on 35 pills a day, including morphine. I didn't know what day of the week it was. I had carers round the clock. I was in so much pain. I was exhausted. My life was a mere existence. I really hit rock bottom. And that time when I hit the real low was when carers came into my house and started talking about putting a commode in my bedroom. I was in my mid-20s and somebody wanted to put a portable toilet into my bedroom because I could not walk from my bedroom to a bathroom myself. I couldn't deal with that. I had been starting to watch all my friends and family have their own family, get married, do all these amazing things. And I was stuck in this horrendous existence. A couple of years previous to that, I went to Mexico for my sister's wedding. And while I went, I had to get wheelchair assistance to get there. But within 2 days, 2 days, I was walking. The sun made a huge difference to me. It completely changed my pain, my exhaustion. I was doing things that I hadn't done for a long time. I was so excited by this. And 5 days in, I was able to walk with my sister down the aisle. It was life-changing for me. So when I decided that I was going to see if I could get a better life, I was going to do it in a way that was not comfortable in the slightest. So I went to a place called Honduras in Central America. It took me 2 days to get there. And I remember being at the airport and I was terrified. I was so scared and I actually thought that I was losing my mind. I had wheelchair assistance to get there. I knew when I got there, I had no support. I did not know how I was going to be perceived by anybody. I did not know if I was going to need to be hospitalised. I did not know what was going to happen. But I was going for a greater good. I was going to volunteer with children, teaching English in a village with people who had very, very little. When your why becomes bigger than your fear, anything is possible. And my why was huge. I could not stay where I was. So I continued. I went. I got on the plane. I went to Honduras. Arriving in Honduras was eye-opening. I could only really describe myself as a rabbit in the headlights. The big police with machine guns at the airport. You know, it was completely different. People rushing back and forward, speaking a completely different language. At the time, I didn't speak Spanish, so I was scared. I reached the village, Atlantita, in La Ceiba. The scenery was stunning. On one side of me, I had mountains. On the opposite side, we had the beach. But the village was made up of dirt roads, small wooden huts, and maybe 1 to 2 rooms for 10 people. They were poor. At the opposite side, in the same village, right next to it, an American person had built a mansion right next to these people and put up electric gates to stop the Honduran people getting in the same village. It was baffling. It completely threw me. These people have very, very little, but they have joy. They have so much beauty within them. Outside, the mothers were sweeping up the dirt roads, making everything look good for them, for their children. Their children were immaculate. No shoes, no bathrooms, but their children were immaculate. They had so much pride. And it was like holding up a mirror to my life. I realised the privilege that I came from. I had running water. I had electricity. I have technology at my fingertips all the time. Was I suffering? Had I had a really difficult time? Yes. My life had been really, really hard. But in that moment, I was able to see what I hadn't previously been able to see. I saw how lucky I was. And I felt so much gratitude. When I went into the school and I taught the children, the gratitude from them rubbed off on me. I was in a school, but it was not a school. It was just a stone building, half a roof. When it rained, we had to move to the other side of the building because you would get soaked. There was a blackboard and a few chairs. That was it. That was my whole classroom. But we made so much of that. We'd done so much with the children. The children humbled me and the children helped me to heal. By being vulnerable and putting myself out there, I was able to see a completely different life for myself. I was able to look beyond my illness and I was able to see what could be possible for me in the future. Teaching was something that I loved. I felt purpose. Purpose was something I had not felt for many, many years. Getting up in the morning was so hard. And all of a sudden, I wanted to jump out of my bed. I wanted to be there for these children. I met the most incredible woman when I was there. And she invited me into her family. And I was able to travel and to see Honduras through her eyes, and then also on my own as I travelled around different islands, taking in everything, embracing the culture, embracing everything about the life in Central America. The whole experience completely changed me as a person. So much so that when I came back, although my health went straight back down again, I became a teacher from my bed through Open University. I pushed myself and pushed myself until I moved my life to Spain. I taught, I travelled, I saw so much of the world. All of these things would never have been possible if I had not gone out of my comfort zone. When I think back, and I think back to that time, in that airport on that day, on January 31st, 2012, when I really thought about turning back, I am so proud of myself and I am so glad that I chose to keep going because everything in my life changed. The only difference between me and those people in Honduras is geography. That's it. Geography and who I was born to. What I have in my life, people in the UK expect. People in a lot of America expect. I know that in the world, there are many people that don't have anything like what I do. I know that I am one of the lucky ones. And now, as a coach, I help people to see themselves. I help people to understand what they have to give and how they can do that through their voice, through their writing. I'm a writer. I love writing. Now I'm doing this motivational speaking, which is completely, again, out of my comfort zone. It's not something that comes natural to me, but it is something that I'm so passionate about. I want to share my story. I want to share my word. If it could make a difference to even one person, then I've done my job. If one person with a chronic illness is able to see that if they push themselves out of their comfort zone, just what they can achieve in life, then it's worth it. All of these things have helped me to become the person that I am. Now, when I think about vulnerability, I think of it as only a strength. being vulnerable is not weak. People think because there's a chance of being rejected, there's a chance of heartbreak. Yeah, 100%. This is the truth. There is the chance of all these things. But when you allow yourself to become vulnerable, you grow in confidence. And through that confidence, you set boundaries. When you set boundaries for yourself, people know where they stand and you know how far to go. When you do that, you limit the chance of being hurt, but you expand the chance of being seen. People will relate to you. People will trust you, and people will come to you when you show the real, authentic you. Everything in my life now, that is my mission, is to help women to show the authentic, beautiful, amazing souls that they are in every way. I celebrate divine female energy. I love everything about it, about feeling rather than doing. Feel everything from your heart. When you do everything from your heart, it will always be right. Thank you so much.